next question, Eric. 200 million, that means that you are with a bigger organizations in the Netherlands, specifically also in food service. This probably means that you are also part of the most stringent European regulations according to ESG. Can you tell us a little bit about, the framework in which ESG has, is existing, and why are we doing ESG?
Yeah, well, we do qualify, as you say, within CSRD. So we have to report as of 2026 over the year 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And we said it would be good to start early, because you can push this backwards all the time, but you have to start sometime. And having a revenue of 200 million euro also means that you're buying a lot of stuff, and you're doing a lot. So when we had the opportunity to look at data, and we have an external platform that facilitates us, it's called Climax, that shows us our scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 CO2 emissions. We also saw that 85% of our total emissions was within scope 3, so within the purchasing part of what we do. Mm-hmm. So when we started to make a plan, it made sense to look at the low-hanging fruits and see, well, if we want to achieve reductions, what would be the best start? And in scope 3, it's quite complicated, and we can come back to that maybe a bit later as well in the podcast. And in scope 1 and 2, we saw we could fairly easily also achieve some early successes by buying more green electricity, by replacing our lease cars by electrical cars instead of fuel cars, and by reducing natural gas. So this is a program that we built over the next years, and that will make sure that we are in line with the climate agreement of Paris to reduce our CO2 emissions in scope 1 and 2.
And yeah, for the audience, what is scope 1 and what is scope 2 and what is scope 3? Can we quickly, explain a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Scope 1 is mainly all the fuel and natural gas we buy. Mm-hmm. And in scope 2, you will find all the electricity that we buy. So that's what we also use when we run restaurants. That's what we directly consume.
Yes, all right.
In scope 3, you will find the CO2 emissions that are related to products that you buy and that are produced by external companies.
Okay, and you mentioned that only 15% comes from scope 1 and 2.
Yeah. So 85 is scope 3.
I think that is also typical for most of restaurants, in that I think maybe for a lot of companies, not specifically restaurants, it's all around scope 3. Mm-hmm. But maybe to add also to what Eric is saying, I think what is really important before you're starting with this strategy is that you have your data platform in shape, so that you know what there is and where you can formulate a strategy on. And that is something we have the advantage that we have become part of a combination of companies, that we did an assessment regarding which systems we want to use through the complete company. And we also had time, because we were closed by COVID, to also introduce all these systems into our restaurants. So we run on one platform. So our data quality is we have data, and we know what it is. So we can easily use that, and we started there already with Climax, which is a company which maps your CO2 emissions. We already started with this company in 2021, collecting all our data. So we had a good view on this scope 1, 2, and 3. which elements are in what bucket. And this is, of course, a journey. Yeah? So this is something which we do now, and it's still, you have to be working on this on a continuous basis to further improve this. And this is especially, I think, Eric can also comment on that, what we see on scope 3 to further bring this, or to further map this out. And that is what we are now doing, and trying to get a better view on the specific elements in scope 3. We have it on a high level, which is quite dense already, but we want to have it on a more on a better level with these new parties, adding this data to us to our platform.